Brian Cook and Kendra Cox with DiscoverWoodward.com and Keller Williams Realty Elite, and we're here today with Kyle Reynolds with Woodward Public Schools. Lots of good information, and so
lots of good things, and I'm excited about this.
No, I appreciate you guys inviting me to do this.
He laughed. I said lots of good things. There are lots of good things.
Yeah.
So we've talked about how important it is for us to be able to share the awesome things that happen in our community, so that whenever we have people relocate to Woodward, that they are excited about Woodward, like we're excited about Woodward.
Right.
But before we get into anything, one of the questions that we've asked you ahead of time is kind of what molded you or made you who you are. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I said when I responded to that, I think my grandmother probably had as much influence on me as anyone, Orpha Frost. I looked up to my grandfather. He was a businessman and he was the mayor, and stuff like that. But I was around my grandmother a lot, and it was the constant grammar lessons, and they were subtle. Hey, you want a cookie? Yeah. What? Yeah. What? Yes, please. Oh, okay. Just simple little things like that. And we spent hours reading highlights books, and we would do puzzles. But it was just something that both my grandparents, Brandon and Orpha Frost, were Northwestern Oklahoma State University. They were teachers. They were both teachers until the economic times were so bad they had to elope when they got married. And then once they found out that they were married and they were both teachers, one of them had to quit. You could only have one family member being a teacher. So, but she really shaped me and had all those sayings: a penny saved, a penny earned, and that really the passion for reading and learning that took me into as an English major at OU, and I carried that through and got my teaching degree from Northwestern, and I just had the greatest time teaching freshman English. It was my big thing for 4 years.
I love whenever we can see why we are who we are, and to be able to pinpoint that Grandma made such a difference. So you did grow up in Woodward, and Woodward is your home, but you left, of course, for college. And
right.
So what brought you back?
Well, we always planned to come back. I married my high school sweetheart, Stacy Olander, and she came down to OU a year after me. We were both in the band at OU, and she got a degree in occupational therapy. And the next thing you know, we're buying a house in Norman, and our first home, a whole $45,000, and we had a kid. Jessica was born in 1992, and so you fast forward to spring break of 1993, and my father-in-law calls and says, "Are you guys ready to come home?" No, we're having a great time down here. Stacy's got a great job at Children's Hospital, and he said, "Well, Woodward Hospital really is looking for an occupational therapist, and they want to talk to you." And so, being the young. Well, we weren't really ready to move, so we're like, okay, here's our list of demands, and the moving company and this, and they said, okay.
All right.
And so in June, we were here, and we moved back, and I worked part-time for her dad while I was finishing my degree at Northwestern, and we started raising our kid. But when I graduated with my teaching degree, I student taught for Linda Harrison at the middle school, and so I came into the superintendent's office, I went to the principal, there's no jobs. But then they called me one day and said, we need somebody to teach summer school. I'm like, okay,
really
sweet. Yeah, literally I'm talking to the principal in a hayfield east of town. It's 100 degrees, and he's like, well, it only pays like $1,200. Half days in the air conditioning? Are you kidding me? I'm getting $6 an hour for bucking hay bales. I'm in. So that got my foot in the door, and it just so happened, and this is another, they put me right next to Brian Stevenson, science teacher. 300 Hall, last door before you get to United Supermarket. It's way out there.
Right.
Brian was the head of the technology committee. We were getting ready to have a bond issue for a bunch of technology, and I had a computer. So they put me on the technology committee, and next thing you know, we're cabling the building, we're putting computers in, we're having to figure all this stuff out and keep it running and teach teachers. In 2009, when Mr. King retired, and Kirk Warnick and I had a long talk, and it was time to make a change and get back into where I could have an impact with kids as an assistant principal at the high school. And it was grueling. It's attendance discipline crisis all the time, and parents are normally mad when they're calling you, and so when I got an opportunity to come up here after 4 years as a deputy superintendent, I didn't even care what that meant. I said, get me out of the assistant principal's office for a minute, okay? And we had some conversations that when my predecessor would retire, that I should consider, making a run for this office. And I said, well, okay, we'll see how it goes. Well, then I think we got to March, and he says, listen, you need to start really thinking about this. And I said, what are we talking, a couple, 3 years? And he goes, no, I think I can make it to summer. I said, oh my gosh. So one thing led to another, and June, I'm in this office, but I'm passionate about this community because it's my home.
Right.
And so what I've learned over the years, the school's not responsible for economic development in our community, but we definitely play a role.
Absolutely.
I mean, I started they would call me, this is 15 years ago, I bet, the hospital would call, we've got a doctor coming to visit, can you take them on a tour of the schools? They've got kids, and so it's an important component that we can help the community move forward. Bond issues, construction projects brings people to town, brings dollars to town.
I love what you just said, and the interaction between you and people moving to town. So when our buyers come in, what would you want us to say? Whenever they say, hey, tell us about the school, tell us about the school district, what would you say to them? Because, I mean, obviously we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. How do I promote us?
The first thing that I tell people that are moving to town and they have elementary age kids, find the house you like.
Yes.
Because all 3 of our elementary sites are awesome. They have great principal leaders, they have great teachers and faculty. They each have their own kind of character, their own personality. I would tell them we are kid-centered, we're innovative. Our partnership with Career Tech and Higher Ed makes it seamless for our kids to take advantage of those opportunities. And we're a professional learning community school. That's, our focus is a continuous improvement model. I don't know how many schools in Oklahoma can say that they can put 2,700 kids in a safe room in a matter of 2 or 3 minutes. We can do that.
Right.
Every one of our schools has safe rooms, and those tornado drills take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and you've got every single person on campus
It's amazing.
safe. At every school we've implemented now the visitor kiosk, so we can ensure our kids are safe. And so all you have to do to come visit is to scan your driver's license, and it prints you out a little visitor badge.
Right.
If you're on the sex offender database, there's going to be a red flag raised. My
Right.
SRO is going to know about it immediately. The principal's going to know. So safety is huge these days.
It is huge, and I mean, again, I'm no longer a parent of a student in school, and I recognize the need for that. It's easy for us because Woodward is so amazing, and it's easy for me to say we don't need that. We're a great community, but you never know when the tide's going to change, and so it's amazing that we have that, and so we love to see that. We love to see the safety measures that are being put into our school systems.
The common denominator in everything you just talked about is troubleshooting. I mean, it's just problem solving, and that's where when I was working on computers, it was BG before Google.
Right.
Okay, you couldn't just Google something or YouTube something and tell you how to fix it. I mean, you had to really dig in and have a process of elimination when you're troubleshooting things. And I think, and I'm stubborn by nature, and so I think I got some of those troubleshooting things embedded in me, and it's made a big difference. And I just don't like not to know something. I've got to figure it out. So, I mean, I spent 4 hours on the phone with Gateway Tech Support one time, and they could not fix my computer, and I had it fixed the next day. It's just point of pride things. So, and just like today, we've had a crisis event today, and so we had some pre-planning that we'd done. We leaned on the framework that we'd built. We called the people that we knew we needed to speak to and went through our process, and we feel good about it. And at the end of the day, I go home and know that we made decisions based on what's good for kids, what's good for our schools, and what's good for our community. And we do it in that order because the kids have to come first.
Absolutely.
My passion, by the way, is we're talking about kids and those different components that go into education. Mental health is that's what's really got my attention in the last few years. And man plans, God laughs. Okay, and so I have had a personal experience in the last few years that drew my attention to mental health. I get a phone call one day from the State Department. We're picking 3 schools to be part of the Project Aware, a multi-million, 5-year long federal grant, and we want Woodward to participate. You're the first call. And absolutely. And so we have extra staff, we have extra support. We've been doing book studies, Chan Hellman's book, The Hope Rising, if you ever get a chance. And that's an Oklahoma guy, by the way. Hope Rising. How can you build resilience and hope in kids who have had traumatic and adverse childhood experiences? And in fact, this weekend I started on my doctorate, and that's where I'm going with my dissertation, is the mental health and how we can, because you can take kids that have had adverse childhood experiences and help them overcome those things, and talking about how important it is to shop locally. So yeah, that's those merchants that are here in town. They're the ones that donate to our kids.
They
They're
are.
the first ones that get hit up. You know that.
Yes.
They come here. You need to add in the yearbook. You need to add in the booster program. We're doing this fundraiser, and there's a golf tournament coming up. And so, how does that work? If you're asking them for donations and then you're leaving town to go shopping?
Absolutely. I knew you might have a little comment on that. Well, do you have anything else?
No.
We absolutely appreciate you took some time because we know you're busy, and we know that you clock out at 4 o'clock every day, right?
I forgot to clock out today.
So we do. We really appreciate it, and so thank you so much for taking some time
Hey,
to
I
join
appreciate
us.
you guys having me. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you.